What if Boston never intended to keep Anthony Simons in the first place? That's the unsettling question hanging in the air right now. One that completely reframes the narrative around the Celtics offseason. What looked like a bold move to bring in a dynamic scorer might have always been a financial sleight of hand. And if that's the case, what does it say about Boston's real priorities? When the Celtics flipped Jrue Holiday, an NBA champion and arguably their most versatile defender, for Anthony Simons, many thought it was a pivot toward youth, speed, and shot creation. After all, Simons is only 25, averaged nearly 23 points per game last season, and is one of the league's most explosive microwave scorers off the dribble. He's not a scrub. He's not a project. He's now. So why, just days later, are credible insiders like Brian Windhorst reporting that Boston is actively trying to trade Anthony Simons? Did Brad Stevens ever believe in the fit, or was this just a cap gymnastics routine in disguise? Let's not sugarcoat it. The Celtics are in salary cap hell, not purgatory hell. With more than $20 million above the second apron, Boston is locked in a financial chokehold that restricts not just their payroll, but their flexibility. No mid-level exception, no aggregation of salaries and trades, no future, and Simons' expiring $27.7 million deal. It suddenly looks less like a long-term piece and more like a grenade they're trying to toss to another team before it blows up their tax bill. And here's the uncomfortable part. If Simons was never meant to stay, why include him at all? Was this a panic move after the backlash from trading Jrue? Was it a way to posture like the Celtics were reloading when they were actually retreating? Some insiders believe Boston expected more of a trade market for Simons, but league sources say interest has been tepid. Why? Because teams know what this is, a distressed asset being flipped by a desperate contender. Let's be honest, Simons has always had question marks. His scoring is electric, but streaky. His defense, borderline liability. He's undersized at the 2 and not a true point guard. Plugging him next to Jaylen Brown, who already struggles with ball handling under pressure, might have been a disaster. Did the Celtics realize that too late? Or worse, did they know it all along? Is Boston already giving up on Anthony Simons before he even plays a single game in green? The answer seems to be yes, and it opens a can of worms about what's really going on inside the Celtics front office. And what should have been a bold move to reshape their identity post Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. The Celtics' decision to trade for Anthony Simons felt like a calculated risk. But now, it looks like a cold-blooded salary dump disguised as a basketball move. According to Brian Windhorst, Boston is actively trying to flip Simons less than a month after acquiring him. That's not just surprising, it's damning, because if you follow the money, this doesn't look like a team trying to improve. It looks like a contender in cost-cutting mode, prioritizing financial survival over basketball logic. Simons is a 26-year-old scorer on an expiring contract. On paper, that sounds like flexibility, but in reality, it screams, this guy was never in the long-term plan. And that raises one explosive question. Why would a team on the brink of repeating as NBA champions treat a 20 points per game guard like a temporary burden instead of a foundational weapon? Simons isn't just a throw-in. He's a 3-level scorer with elite catch-and-shoot numbers and enough burst to carry bench units. He averaged nearly 20 points per game on decent efficiency, with a proven ability to stretch defenses. That's not nothing, that's value. And yet Boston's treating him like radioactive dead weight. Some league insiders believe it's all about the tax apron. Boston is currently hovering $20 million above the second apron. If they don't shed salary soon, the punishments multiply. No sign-and trades, no mid-level exceptions, no trades aggregating salaries, no maneuvering of any kind, just a brutal financial wall. But here's the thing nobody is saying loud enough. The Celtics knew all of this before they traded for Simons, so why take him at all? Unless the entire trade was orchestrated with the sole purpose of flipping him, not to build around him, not to integrate him, just to reroute him and temporarily absorb his salary. If that's true, what we're witnessing is not roster building, it's asset laundering. Why are the Celtics treating preseason like it doesn't matter when everything says it does? At first glance, the Celtics' 2025-26 preseason schedule looks routine for exhibition games. A couple of road trips, some harmless reps before the real battle begins. But look closer and you'll realize this isn't just about warm-ups. It's about a team walking into a storm, pretending the clouds don't exist. October 8th, Memphis. October 10th, Toronto. October 12th and 15th, to games back home, for chances, for tests, for opportunities to answer the question that no one in Boston seems ready to face. What exactly is this team now? Because behind the press release, behind the familiar opponents and tip-off times, lies a deeper issue. This preseason isn't just about shaking off rust. It's about exposing the cracks Boston has spent the entire summer trying to plaster over with vague optimism and PR polish. Let's not forget the facts. The Celtics have lost Drew Holiday, lost Kristaps Porzingis, might be losing Al Horford, and are possibly trying to dump Anthony Simons before he even steps on the court. That's 3 core pieces of last year's rotation either gone or dangling in trade limbo. And now they're walking into a preseason with more question marks than any championship contender should ever allow. Who's running the offense? Who fills the front court minutes if Horford is done and Porzingis doesn't return? What if Tatum isn't fully healthy by opening night? The Memphis game on October 8th isn't just about seeing how Derek White handles more playmaking. It's a spotlight on whether Boston can even field a functioning 5-man unit without sacrificing defense or floor spacing. And the trip to Toronto, it's a warning flare. The Raptors aren't contenders, but they are fast, long, and physical. A classic preseason trap game. If Boston gets out-hustled in that one, it won't be shrugged off, it'll be studied intensely by media, by rivals, and maybe even by some players in their own locker room. Then comes Cleveland, a team that, on paper, isn't as deep but who just got tougher, younger, and more motivated. You think Max Strus and Darius Garland won't test Boston's perimeter defense now that Drew is gone? You think Evan Mobley won't look at Boston's thinning front court and smell blood? And finally, another game against the Raptors on the 15th. But that's not just a rematch. It's the last chance to convince anyone watching that this team knows who they are before the regular season lights hit. Is Peyton Pritchard about to shock the NBA, or are the Celtics just that desperate every season? The league delivers a few wild card storylines, but this one might be the boldest yet. Peyton Pritchard, all-star candidate. Yes, you read that right. The undersized, often overlooked guard from Oregon who barely cracked the Celtics rotation 2 years ago is now being pegged as a legitimate breakout star heading into the 2025-26 season. But here's the twist. It's not just about Pritchard rising. It's about a championship contender falling apart so quickly that it needs a player like Pritchard to become something he's never been. The context is brutal. Boston is entering the season without Jason Tatum, who suffered a devastating torn Achilles. Drew Holiday, gone. Kristaps Porzingis, traded. Al Horford, on the brink of retirement. 3 starters wiped out just like that suddenly. The team that just won a title looks nothing like a contender, and Pritchard has been handed the keys to the offense not by merit, but by necessity. And that's where things get really uncomfortable. Because the buzz around Pritchard isn't coming from fringe blogs or hot take artists. It's coming from serious analysts like Kevin O'Connor, who boldly claimed on NBC Sports Boston that Pritchard could produce borderline all-star stats in 2025-26. That's not a compliment. That's a challenge, and it forces us to ask, is Peyton Pritchard ready to be a franchise cornerstone? Or are the Celtics asking a role player to carry a crumbling empire? Let's be fair, Pritchard earned respect last season. He won 6th Man of the Year by averaging 14.3 points, nearly 4 rebounds, and 3.5 assists in limited minutes. Shooting lights out from deep and showcasing elite movement off the ball. He brought pace. He brought fire, but he brought it in bursts. Now he's expected to do it for 35+ minutes a night every night, against top defenders who will finally treat him like a threat. Can he handle that kind of spotlight, or will it burn him alive? The Celtics seem to believe in the upside. They've cleared the runway. No more Holiday, no backup vet, no insurance policy, just Pritchard and a dream. The plan: let him run wild next to Jaylen Brown, hope he averages 20+ points per game, and pray the numbers distract from the fact that Boston isn't built to win this year. Because make no mistake, this isn't a push for a championship. This is a stat-padding season in disguise. And the league knows it. Scouts are already preparing for a different version of Pritchard. His weaknesses on ball defense, passing under pressure, lack of size will be relentlessly tested. His habits will be dissected. He won't be catching defenders off guard anymore. They'll come at him with elite traps, length, and physicality. Is he ready for that kind of treatment? And here's the deeper, darker question no one wants to ask. Would this all-star Pritchard prediction even exist if Boston wasn't in a state of emergency?